Welcome to Uniting the Cults, another episode of Why is Everybody Stupid? This one is about why do you believe in Islam? So let me put it on. For most of you, you believed in Islam / Allah when you were young because you were raised with it. You didn't think for yourself yet. It's another way of saying, like, if somebody asked you, why do you believe in Islam? Your answer would be, because my parents told me. But now as an adult, you can think for yourself. So why do you still believe in Islam? What are your reasons for remaining faithful to your religion? Have you considered the other religions and atheism? If yes, what are your arguments against these other religions and atheism? And if no, do you think it's not worth your time to consider alternative views to your own? Do you think you can't possibly be wrong? Or are you afraid that you might lose faith in your religion? This person says, oh boy, I'm probably going to regret this just because I'll get a ton of replies. Okay, so I was born in a Muslim family, raised rather loosely in the religion, learned some surahs to pray and fast and the basic stuff you need to know. I also live in a non-Muslim country, Austria. Parents originate from Bosnia. I started to learn more about Islam by myself through the internet, the Quran, and Hadith. Only agnosticism came to my mind for a month, maybe while I naturally got curious, but never other religions nor atheism. Against atheism, I firmly believe there is a God, that's it. I was asking for arguments, that's not an argument, that's just a claim. Christianity, the Trinity is a no for me. Okay, Judaism, Old Testament is corrupted. Other religions, they're polytheistic. Through my research, I just came to the conclusion that Islam, he says, I just came to the conclusion. If you don't know what that means, say so in the YouTube comments and I'll try to explain when somebody puts the word like just right here. Came to the conclusion that Islam is the truth and the Quran is indeed perfectly preserved through oral and written descendants. Just came to the conclusion. It's like saying no reasoning. If there was reasoning, he wouldn't have put the word just here. Furthermore, I want to pick up 5 topics that are always up for debate. I don't know what that means. Free will or not? Why does this matter? Does this help him? He's trying to give criticisms that other people give about Islam. Like if somebody says Islam is wrong because it's confused about free will. Here's another one. He's saying here, Islam doesn't say to kill, to do the death penalty. Why does Allah let bad things happen? The age of Aisha. The friends who want to make a caliphate in Germany. Paraphrase Sahih Hadith. I don't know what that's all about. That actually took longer to write than anticipated. I really hope we can stay civil. I hope I answered the question because I lost myself in writing. Against atheism, I firmly believe there is a God, that's it. So since he didn't give an explanation, I have to ask it. Why do you believe that? And that's what I wanted to begin with. What the fuck is that? When he mentioned about I just came to the conclusion, I said, do you believe in jinn and that if you believed you were possessed by jinn, then you should go to an exorcist instead of a hospital? I'm just picking a topic, and it's none of the ones he mentioned. They said, in nature alone, there are too many things that wouldn't work if someone didn't design it. There is a limit to how many things can be a coincidence for us to exist. Like the expansion of the universe. A little too fast, the universe could fall apart. A little too slow, and implode. There is a limit. What limit? He didn't say what limit. He didn't say what's his reasoning for the limit. Oh, he believes in jinn. How I learned it. Being possessed does not automatically make you physically or mentally sick. It's more like you are being piloted by it. There are the classical signs like screaming, changing voice. I would probably go to a doctor first, but if this change was sudden without a trigger, I would, of course, have a possession in the back of my mind. But I never met someone possessed, so my reaction is only hypothetical. So I said, I'm aware of those things. I have a degree in physics. And I was also of his same opinion. But I'm saying to him here, but you didn't say anything that explains why there must be a God. You didn't say anything that would convince anybody, which raises the question, how did you convince yourself of that theory? Did you consider alternate theories and work to figure out which one is best? What were your arguments against the alternate theories? So same thing about the jinn. How can you explain how you convinced yourself that jinn are real? Was it just that Islam's claim they are real, or something else? Do you know that tons of Muslims go to exorcists instead of hospitals? He said, I probably have a bias because I was raised in a theist household, but I believe through one experiment with the kids that humans have a natural force toward God. But that wouldn't mean that it's real. I think you mean with theories, things like evolution, right? No, that's not what I meant. So I clarify for him later. It is one thing where the part of Islam comes into play, believe in the unseen. If the rest of Islam is the truth, then the jinns also must exist. It works for me as I never met someone who witnessed something jinn-like, but just because it didn't happen to me doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And this person is now saying, actually, I never heard that Muslims go to exorcists instead of hospitals. They don't know. And they're saying it's nonsense. Okay. So they're better than Islam. So I clarified for him, by, quote, your theory, I meant this. I'm quoting him. In nature alone, there are too many things that wouldn't work if someone didn't design it. There is a limit to how many things can be a coincidence for us to exist. That's what I'm saying. I meant that's his theory. What convinced him of that theory? That's what I'm asking. So I'll repeat what I said earlier. I'm aware of those things. I got a degree in physics, but you didn't say anything that explains why there must be a God. You didn't say anything that would convince anybody, which raises the question, how did you convince yourself of your theory? Did you consider alternate theories and work to figure out which one is best? What were your arguments against the alternate theories? Alternate theories are theories that compete with your theory. It doesn't have to be anything you learned previously. So I was quoting them. They always duplicate, but never did we find evidence that they combine to a multi-cell organism. Something like that should be easy to recreate in labs in the last 100 years. He's talking about demonstrating evolution happening in our lifetime. So I asked him, how did you come to that conclusion? You didn't explain the conclusion that we don't have evidence. By the way, there is evidence of this. We've seen evidence, evolution occurring live with single-celled organisms. They said it is one thing where the part of Islam comes in play, belief in the unseen. So yeah. So I clarified for him. So you don't have any reasoning about jinn except for Muhammad said so. So to the part they said, actually never heard of it, and that is nonsense. People going to exorcists instead of hospitals. And I said, Islam says it's true. It tells Muslims how to remove jinn. Have you never heard of that? So to the part where I asked, how did you convince yourself of your theory? He said, for me, I found so many things that are working together in harmony, so many reoccurring patterns that I could not believe that everything came out of randomness. Everything came out of randomness. So that's what they're saying is the alternate theory. But there's it's not automatic that the alternate theories say everything came out of randomness. It's not random. We don't claim things are random. Evolution isn't random. It's not random that I have 5 fingers. It's not random that I have a fucking heart that pumps blood. It's not random that This is so stupid. I don't think I replied to this because it was so stupid. I'll just quote the whole paragraph. So you think the only alternate theory is that everything came out of randomness? That's ridiculous. That's not even the best alternate theory. No scientist claims that this stuff is random. That's just your straw man argument that you're refuting. But your refutation doesn't say anything about the actual theories that scientists have. Let's see, what's next? I should go back right here. It doesn't assume, it gives reasons. Why do you believe it should be possible to recreate such an evolution in a lab? That would take so much money no one has. You're being ridiculous. No, it's for you too. You believe in the Quran because Muhammad said so. Let's see if we get some good discussion in the post from a year ago. 2 years ago. White Crow Winter says, think you answered your own question. They were taught to believe, but not to think. Plus, all Abrahamic religions are structured in a way to keep you away from doubt. With debt, sin, carrot, heaven, stick, hell, monitoring, omnipresence, conditioning, daily rituals, It rewires your brain. Here's my full description of this argument. Notice how the attempts to refute it and the answer to this question will become clear. Okay, let's see. The fact that these Abrahamic religions are structured like a computer virus. What is this about? Okay. A computer virus is written in the same computer language as any other program. Only difference is that it hijacks the computer, making it stop acting in the interest of itself and its co-computers on the network. These religions are written in the same language as any other collection of concepts. Difference is it hijacks the brain, stopping it from acting in its own interest and the brains around it, using almost every mental manipulation technique that can be thought of. Debt, that's what a sin is. You're in debt to God when you commit a sin. Threat of going to hell. A promise of something good, going to heaven. Uncertainty, they make things ambiguous so you're uncertain. Self-conditioning, that's the daily rituals. Assurance, omnipresence. While the only sin that cannot be forgiven happens to be to not believe, to not be convinced, to not be gullible, as it offers a limited time, no questions asked, opportunity to have your skepticism forgiven. All you need to do is submit. It also latches itself onto real things in the real world, like music, architecture, culture, relationship dynamics, society, and your very identity, to make itself look and feel real. But it's not real. It's why it needs something real to attach itself to. We're not moved by a god, but by music. We're not in awe of a god, but grand architecture. We're not of a god, but of nature. Isn't it convenient how God is present everywhere, but you can't see him? God is all powerful, but there's no demonstration of it. God answers prayers, but only grants those wishes that can be fulfilled without prayer. God created us to worship him, but we have no knowledge of him at birth. Instead, we need a mortal, fallible human being to tell us a story and show us a book. God will prove himself real, but only after your death. Why is it structured in such a way that it's literally impossible to determine if it's divinely inspired or written by a con man? How come everything works out in such a way that it would fit a con by requiring no evidence? And you find out the truth after death? Kind of hard to ask for your investment back by then, right? You know, because you'll be dead. What is more plausible? Magic or a big lie? To make things more complicated, our brains are not perfect. Our common sense would make us think that the planet is flat and that the sun revolves around the earth. Not to mention hallucinations and mental illness are real things that our brains can experience. Meaning we as individuals can't be absolutely certain of anything because we could be deluded and not even be aware of it. That's why we need external confirmation of the validity of a statement through testing and repeatability, also known as the scientific method. Now imagine Abraham heard a voice in his head telling him to kill his own son. In those days, it was called a miracle, and in these, schizophrenia. Somebody replied, Richard Dawkins. Thanks for taking your time on writing this. I get what you mean, but no one can prove for sure that awaits after death. So that's why I'd rather waste my life in believing and ceasing to exist after death than disbelieving and going to hell. And he's wrong about this. We can prove there's no hell, just like we can prove there's no Santa Claus. This is right, White Crow Winter again. Are you aware of logical fallacies? A fallacy means something like false logic. What your reasoning is called is Pascal's wager. A guy named Pascal came up with it. There are 5 major religions currently in our world: Judaism, Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, and Buddhism. Not only that, but there's countless variations of these religions. Not only that, there are other religions around the world. So first one of them has to be true, which is already a problem. So they're saying only one of them can be true. But then you also need to identify the true religion if there is one. But only life you can be certain you will have is this one. And I hope you don't wish to waste it on a story. But then again, you answered so quickly that you probably didn't stop to consider what I described in my previous comment. Hell is a fiction designed to make you think like this. Nothing can burn forever because flames need fuel to burn. And it's not the worst pain there is. There are certain poisons that hurt more, but that's not as sensational, visually speaking. Please, if you like this video, hit like. Please subscribe to the channel. Then you'll see more of stuff like this. Also, it'll help the algorithms. It'll help me. It'll help more people see me. If this helped you, this will help other people, but it has to actually get to them. Please help. Thank you.